do. If you hire a solicitor and then the solicitor sells your house or draws of your will in a way that you don't like, then you want to have a chance to say to the solicitor, hey, wait a minute, I don't like that. I want you to change that. Now, in politics, which in some ways is far more important, you have a representative to do your work for you, but you don't have a say if they do things that you don't like. So the referendum is just a mechanism for making sure that those people who are working for you are actually doing what you are, as it were, paying them to do, what you've asked them to do. So the referendum is a mechanism for ensuring compliance by elected politicians.
Well, I think New Zealand's a very small country. We don't have any other safeguard like an upper house. We do have a Westminster system, but it's a single house system. So Parliament can pretty much pass anything by a crude majority. And I think there's no doubt we've seen quite a lot of legislation that's been passed that doesn't reflect what New Zealanders would like to be happening in their country. So I think we are long overdue for some form of direct democracy, and for me that's binding referenda where the people can, if they feel like it, get together and have a say on an issue.
I don't think we would have given away so much power to Brussels. I'm certain we wouldn't have opened ourselves up to open-door immigration in the way that we have to nearly 500 million people, had people at general elections really had an opportunity to have their say. And so what UKIP are going to propose in this area is something radical. Radical in that we've never done it before, but perhaps not particularly radical in the sense that many other European countries, in fact, have this model. Switzerland, of course, being the most famous of all. And we will, and as I say, I'm not laying out our manifesto today, but I am laying out, Peter, our direction of travel as we head towards that general election. But there will be a commitment in our manifesto for us to campaign for direct democracy. Now, does this mean that I think there should be a referendum every Thursday or every Sunday? No. Do I think that the people should be able to call a referendum on an issue that is frivolous or doesn't command a significant degree of public support? No. I see direct democracy working, actually, as a very valuable safety net for when the political class have got too far out of touch with public opinion. So the idea that I would throw onto the table would be that the way to trigger a national referendum would be for 5% of the electorate to sign up to a validated petition. Now, that would be 2.3 million people. And if you think about it, to actually mobilise and organise and validate 2.3 million signatures, which would have to be collected in the space of 4 months or 6 months or something like that, would not lead to us having frivolous referendums. It would show that there was a genuine disconnect between the direction our government and Parliament was going and how people felt on a very big particular issue. I suspect one issue on which the British public have felt very strongly over the last decade or more is the whole question of foreign military interventions, an endless series of them, most of which it seems to me have made the world a far less safe place than it was before. And I suspect if we'd had the ability, through direct democracy, to hold our governments to account, we would not have bombed Libya, we would not have even considered getting too heavily involved in Syria. So direct democracy, that's the model that we wish to push for and want to campaign for, and we think it would actually make people genuinely feel that they would be able to hold government to account and not have to wait once every 5 years for what, frankly, on many of these big issues is a limited choice.
A wise government, looking downstream, would say we've got these issues that the public are better able to decide, particularly on social issues, than the temporary elected members of Parliament are able to decide. And I'd rather trust the conscience of a country rather than the conscience of MPs, some of whom will be here for 5 minutes. Better democracy is one that is expanded and where people have not a chance to be engaged for 1 or 2 seconds every 3 years, but at least once a year.
Direct democracy is a way to improve democracy. And what we've seen countries do over the years is they continue to innovate and change their democracies. We've seen more people have been given voting rights, more competition has been allowed, and so forth. So I think of direct democracy as a way to increase and expand democracy, and in some ways to make it better. The reason you want to do this is because representatives are not infallible. Representatives sometimes make mistakes because they might misjudge what the people want. Sometimes representatives might be unduly influenced by their own personal preferences or by the preferences of campaign contributors or groups that they're close to. And so it helps democracy to have a safety valve where the people can pass the laws they want directly in the unfortunate event that a representative form of democracy doesn't work quite right.
Well, we've had the experience of 5 referenda that were indicative only being ignored. So I think the answer is pretty simple. If we're going to go to all the trouble and have a referendum and ask the people of New Zealand their opinion, then it ought to be binding for Parliament to have to respond.